Hello and welcome to Hofstra University's James M. Stewart Stadium, home of the Hofstra Lacrosse. Tonight, the women's pride team will face the Towson Tigers, who are ranked number 18 in the country and sitting at 9-2. Before we get in, my name is Devin Martin. Alongside me is Nick Ferrier. And before we get into this matchup, first, Nick, let's talk about what happened last game when they played against the James Madison Dukes. They lost 20-8, a really bad loss where across the board, whether in terms of shots, turnovers, draw controls, everything. The Dukes just beat the Pride.
Absolutely, and beat, I think, is a very passive word. This was an absolute demolition. 20-8 the final score. They were outshot 31-18. They turned the ball over 16 times. Any way you look at it, it was just a very poor game. I mean, the goalie for Hofstra, Madison Fields, she was 2 for 22 on saves. Even if you're a good defensive team and your goalie is less than 10% on save opportunities, you're not going to win that ball game.
Right.
And going into this game, they have to play a lot better, offensively, defensively, and in goaltending, if they have any chance of making it a close game with this Towson team.
As you mentioned, in terms of just pure offense, where Lindsay Scott, she had 6 goals last game. So that's something that you can look forward to in tonight's game, where she can be someone that you can rely upon in terms of just carrying the load. But as you said, it's a whole all-around effort, and one thing, just a balanced effort offensively, where more people have to step up.
Absolutely, and we talk about this Hofstra team. In the past, it has been Lindsay Scott, and kudos to her. The graduate student from North Carolina, she was great for UNC, and she's playing even better this year as the focal point of this team. But you just look all the way around, and there's just no help around her offensively. And even when there is, and you've got Lexi Lanigan actually playing pretty well, has 11 goals on the year, but defensively and goaltending in and of itself, you can put up 8 goals all you want, but if you're not getting stops and you're turning the ball over, you're asking for trouble. You're just asking for trouble.
Right, and as you say, the more shots and more attempts their defense that the defense gives up, the more just fatigued the goalie can get. And in terms of just the defense is so porous, as you say, there's more and more attempts just on the goalie.
Absolutely. Maddie Fields, listen, she's a freshman. She's sort of trying to develop into her own person, own player for this Hofstra team, but she's got to get more help on the defense. The defense, poor slides. They're not getting a girl on a girl. They're not playing man-to-man very well. The zones look very poor. They're not moving. They're not communicating defensively. And Maddie Fields, listen, she is not the best goalkeeper in the world. We know that. We've seen it. But at the same time, she could use a lot of help defensively, even just by communication. Everything defensively needs to get better, and that, again, starts with Maddie Fields.
And right, and as you say, if you give up 20 goals to a team, that obviously proves that, you're not that good of a defensive team. Like, giving up 20 goals in a lacrosse game, that's outrageous. That's outlandish. That's a desire that's just going to leave you for trouble. If you just give up 20 goals, and as you say, you're leaving basically Maddie Fields out to dry.
Yeah,
and as a freshman, that's something that could be really detrimental for her, where if they're constantly, as I say, the James Madison Dukes, they had 31 shots, while the Pride only had 18. So if that kind of discrepancy obviously does not fare well for the Pride.
Definitely. Absolutely. And you talk about, you give up 20 goals, it's not going to help your offense either, because all of a sudden, let's say Maddie Fields gets a save. Well, they're throwing it away on the clears. I mean, 16 turnovers like we talked about earlier. Even when they have chances, they're turning the ball over. So you're not giving players like Lindsay Scott a chance to actually perform at that level. And it just, again, it starts from the defense. It starts from the goaltending. You get a save, you get a stop, well, then clear and get it to Scott. I think that's pretty much this whole team this past year, and it's unfortunate, but that's the way it has to be.
And right, as you say, just get it to Scott, and then the other players that need to step up, including Tiana Perella. But before we get into this next game, let's first go to a commercial break.